Hey everybody, it's me, Pepe with Pepe's Fruit Trees and pepesplants.com. Just wanted to show you my Yehuda Loquat tree. Yehuda, Y-E-H-U-D-A. And we've got some beautiful loquats on here. And this tree is a grafted tree because it's got a name and because Yehuda is an Israeli variety. And this is growing in a container. So you're looking at a Yehuda tree. It's probably about, I'd say this tree is about 4.5 years old, maybe 4 years. And I've been growing it, stepping it up from a little one all the way up. And I'll show you how I got here. Okay, first let me come back and show you the fruit, now that it's not so windy. Okay, and then I'm going to show you, this is the right color for my taste. Right there. Nice flavor, sweet, just a little hint of tartness in the background. To me, it's hard to describe things that have tastes, but it's kind of like to me, it's like a little apple, you know? It's like a little apple that's kind of tart and sweet. It's really good. Yehuda is one of my favorites. There's also Bradenton that's very good, and there's also Champagne. But honestly, I think between Yehuda and Bradenton, those are some of my favorites. Champagne comes in a very good one as well, but Bradenton and the Yehuda are, like I said, to me, it's my favorite. Other people, they don't feel quite the same way. So everyone has a different taste in mind when they're eating. So this is how it's spelled. I may have spelt it improperly earlier when I spoke it. I may have said it right. I don't remember right now. But it's Yehuda Loquat. And there are other spellings that you may see out there. All right, so let's go down here and let's take a look at what's going on. How do we get a tree to produce fruit so young? And this tree was actually producing fruit when it was only 2 years old because it was grafted. Now this you're looking at in that container is approximately almost a year-old seedling. Okay? So if you eat one of these, you look in the dish and you're going to see the seeds are right here. Okay? So these are the seeds. And right next to it there's a fruit, which I picked. And the way you want to pick the fruit is you want to cut. You don't really want to spend all day cutting individual little fruit unless you're just going to hang out and eat one or two. But that's almost impossible because once you start eating loquats, you can't stop. They're like eating potato chips, man. They're amazing. So this guy here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take a little bite of it. You can eat it with the skin. I haven't washed it. I'm not worried about it because I don't really spray. Even my nails are dirty. I don't spray any pesticides on the trees. Nothing to be afraid of anyway. Mostly it's organic products that we use. So occasionally, if I have a real major problem, I might have to use something strong. But it's been really a good year. I've used everything. 99% of the time, it's 100% organic. So I feel really good about just going ahead and taking a bite out of this, which is what I'm doing now. And it's delicious. Now you can eat the skin and everything. And you can see the seeds in there. Now, this guy, from my taste, I could have picked him when he was a little more yellow or a little more orange. Because I just had one, actually I had 3 before I started the video. And that's what made me think about doing this. And they were so much sweeter than this one. But this one's good. But you gotta pick them when they're just perfect. So I thought this one was kind of perfect, but it wasn't completely perfect for my taste. You might love this one. Let's continue eating. You might have heard the seeds fall out. I'm going to get rid of this guy. I'm going to show you where the seeds ended up. Okay? One of the seeds fell over here. And the other one fell in the grass somewhere. And we'll just save him. So why am I saving these seeds? Well, you got to start with something. And you got to have a seedling that you can graft to. So if you want to produce trees, and you're lucky enough to have a Yehuda or a Bradenton or some other really good variety, there's many. There's Christmas, there's Oliver. Earlier I mentioned Champagne. There's another great one that I've grafted called Vista White. That's a fantastic one. That one's growing in a container as well, but this year it's growing and it's just starting to look like it's going to start flowering. But what I want to do now is I'm going to show you a grafting knife, which is right in here. Hopefully I won't cut my hand off. So this is a grafting knife, and then these knives are incredibly good. These are the right knives to use. They're going to be beveled sharp on one side only. As you can see, the other side, hopefully you can see it. And then that's the side that has the beveled edge, because when you cut, you're going to cut towards you, and you're going to cut, hopefully, one nice, sharp, clean cut. That's the idea of grafting. We're not going to go into specifics of how to graft, but I can tell you this. I'm going to show you a graft that's already been started. It's about 3 weeks old. Okay? And then in a future video, we'll actually do a graft. Loquat is a great tree to start grafting if you've never grafted before, because it's very forgiving and it's pretty easy to do. Okay? So in here now, let's move on. I'm going to move this over a little bit where it's a little bit shadier. I think the video will come out a little better. This is my, let's put the knife back down. This is the pruner that I like to use, and I always clean it before I use it, and that's important. And this is a great pruner. This is like a $33 pruner, so it's not a cheap pruner, but you know, it'll last forever because it's quality. And when you buy quality, you usually better off. Hopefully it's made in America. I think it is. Actually, I have no idea, but I think it's made in USA. And God bless it if it is. Let me try to get myself around where we can demonstrate this without being in a bunch of shadow. What we're looking at here is Parafilm Tape. This stuff. This Parafilm Tape, I'm going to try to do this with one hand as I usually do. It's very stretchy. See, it broke because I pulled it really too tight, but watch, I can stretch it out. See how it's stretching? It's stretching, it's stretching, it's stretching, it's stretching. And this is a surgical type tape. This is for injuries. It's for wounds. My understanding is it's used in medical profession. Well, we use it for grafting. It easily tears, but it's not what you use to do the binding. It's not what you do to hold the graft together with the Parafilm tape. What you do with this tape is, a couple of people do it different ways, but one of the things I like to do, and it works fine with sometimes with avocado, and usually 99% of the time works really well with loquat and some other plants, is when I do the graft, this is a graft that's done right on the side. So it's technically you can call it a side veneer graft right on the side here. Okay? And it's a piece of the loquat tree, which is called a scion. Now we're going to take this off so you can see this is still alive. This was done, like I said, 3 weeks ago, approximately. Maybe even a little less, but I think it was about 3 weeks ago. Okay, so see how this comes off? Real easy. So let's have a look at what's going on. Okay? This guy is doing fantastic. He's still green here. He's not mushy. He's not messed up. He's not sick. He's not moldy. The tip of the bud there, the crown, this is beginning to open up very slowly. And here, oh man, I think I screwed up your video, guys. Sorry, I didn't show you very well. This is where it's grafted, and it will join and fuse together right here. Okay? And that is being made possible because this is really tight right here. And all I did is use a regular green tie tape. It's really not that important as long as something that can be stretched and grab on real tight and hold on to keep the graft in place. And then as soon as you do the graft, make sure you write something on there because you'll forget. So right here we wrote Yehuda right on the little green tie tape. So this is how we do a graft. And this one's a little older, obviously, than this one. And this is a good thickness to work with. And with a side graft, you can have a smaller piece of scion compared to the thickness of your stock. Okay? And like I said, one of the best plants to start playing around with, in my opinion, if you're teaching or if you're just beginning to try to learn on your own, is to do it with a loquat tree. So, to recap real quick, what I'm going to do is just finish up about this section, and I'm going to rewrap this with the parafilm very gently all around it, just to keep it from drying out. The whole point is you don't want it to dry out. Your soil always needs to be kept healthy and moist. You don't want this thing to dry out. You want to start out with a healthy piece of rootstock, healthy plant. Now, another way people graft these is they'll just do a cleft graft, where they just cut and then just stick the thing in the top like that. That's a great way, but it's not the way I like to do it. I like to do it this way, and it seems to be working fine for me. When I'm all done, I will cut this. When this is growing quite a bit, I'll make a cut right across here, and very rarely do I have a problem along this area here. Very rarely do I have a problem with any growth coming from below. If I do, you remove it, and eventually it stops. But I am also going to be doing some cleft grafting, but just for this particular video, demonstrating it this way. And this guy's going to do great. Like I said, our weather right now, we had a really cold night last night. It was 46 degrees, maybe even 42, and with the wind chill, it could have been even colder. And we left this guy outside unprotected. Well, protected a little bit from the wind, but that's about it, up on a tabletop. So let's recap. Parafilm tape, right here. Green tape, or any other hard, not hard, but strong tape that's flexible, that can keep the scion aligned properly and connected to your rootstock. Notice there's one leaf on here. Okay, I like to leave at least one leaf, and I always like to cut the leaf. Okay, it's a couple of reasons for that. You know, sort of like when you do cuttings, you do a little cutting and you stick it in the ground. You want to have no transpiration, so you're sort of treating this a little bit like a cutting. So you don't want it to dry out, so you leave one leaf, you cut it. Cutting it stimulates hormones, in my opinion, and what I've read and what I've learned from people, that are good for the plant to then begin to cause it to try to, heal itself. So wounding the plant, and then having done this is another wound, and then this was a wound. All these wounds, and then the cambiums touching will eventually get it to fuse. So in about a month and a half, maybe 2 months, this tree will have about this much growth. We're going into spring now. And 6 months down the road, I'll have a beautiful little tree, and next year it'll produce fruit, most likely. Okay? Now, again, this guy, if I really wanted to, or if you wanted to, you could make this work too. It'll be a little bit more challenging. You'd have to start with a very small piece, and that wouldn't be easy. So this would be a good thickness to work with. So let's recap. We have start the seeds, get them going, grow yourself a little plant, know your variety, attach your scion, which whatever method you enjoy or you know how to use. I hope this was a little bit helpful, and let's take another look at the fruit.